Wanted. All right, here we are. Hi, welcome to Actual Play, and our very, very first game of Sync. I'm Sean Nittner. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm the host for the day on Actual Play. And I'm real excited to play this game with all of you. Kira, thanks for running for us. How are you doing? What's up with you?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for asking. I'm having kind of a bad pain day. I apologize to everybody in advance. I know it's a silly thing to apologize for, but I feel weird.
Oh, no need.
Oh, thank you. I'm a little nervous. This is the first of my games I've run online for a live audience, so this is going to be fine.
I'm so glad we're here. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I feel real special to be in this first game.
Yeah.
Thanks for being with me. You're all lovely, and I'm super excited. So that my pronouns. I'm Kira McGran. My pronouns are she, her. I had to think about it. And my game that I'm running is called Sync. It is a non-violent, activist, feels-focused cyberpunk game. So that's the elevator pitch. I'll tell you more in a little bit.
So good.
So good. Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Andy. My pronouns are she and her. I'm a cast member here on Actual Play, and I'm real excited to be here with all these lovely people, all y'all included. So let's get some really great machine feels going.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you got, Karen?
Hello, I'm Karen Twelves. My pronouns are she, her. I'm on the internet on K12s at Twitter. I mostly retweet other people's funny things. What's coming up? Oh gosh, we're just about to send Scum and Villainy to press. We've been saying we're just about to do this for weeks, but we're finally seriously, like, no kidding, absolutely just about definitely doing this.
That's rad.
Which is very exciting.
That's Strash's Blades in the Dark.
Yeah, it's Strash and John's space opera kind of Blades in the Dark hack. It's super cool. It's a huge book. It's like great setting stuff. And so we're doing final. Definitely no more checks after this.
Totally final.
Definitely final.
Karen says this as she spent the whole weekend finding like another whole round of typos.
I spent like 8 hours yesterday, inputting, like, oh, one more typo. Oh, there's this one more thing.
And this is John LaBouffe Little. Did I get this right? Great.
Mm-hmm.
There are two Johns that come up often, and we don't always know who we're talking about.
Too many Johns? Too many Johns.
It's a good problem to have. Mm-hmm. All the Johns are good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're good Johns.
Mm-hmm. Okay, what do we do now?
We're gonna play a game. We're gonna play this game called Sync. We don't have all the digital assets for the game completely squared away, so audience, please, I thank your patience and your forgiveness as we figure out how to navigate it through forms of PDF and Roll20 and all that jazz, and we'll get it more sorted out as we play it more. But what's the thing that we do in your game? Oh wait, there's a thing we do before we play the game, is we talk about safety.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'll talk about safety.
Sure.
Cool. So, Karen, did you have a question?
Nope.
Okay,
I'm good.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be using two safety mechanics in this game. We're all friends, know each other, but that doesn't mean, weird stuff or uncomfortable things or traumatic things could come up in any kind of game. So we're going to use the X card, which we don't have a card, but we'll do this or this. Andy showed me this. My face just disappeared. To basically signify if something comes up that in the game, in the fiction, that any of us is uncomfortable with at any time, anyone has the ability to use the X card. And then we will basically, roll it back, change whatever just happened, and continue on with the story. We won't investigate necessarily what specifically the problem was. Sometimes it's hard to talk about trauma. And this could be anything from, personally, I don't like, skin burrowing parasites. So whenever they come up in games in any way, shape, or form, I'm like, nope, sorry. It's just gross to me. But also it could be something more serious, like sexual assault. So, anything can come up in any narrative, we'll use that. We'll also use the okay check-in, in which we can just go like this. If any one of us notices anyone seems maybe a little uncomfortable, we can do that, and everyone can reply with a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Were we going to use the middling one or just those two? I can't remember.
Middling is great because even though middling means we still need to make sure everyone's doing great, right? Like if we're
That's true.
So
cool.
Yeah,
So this is okay. So those are our safety tools that we're going to use throughout the whole game. So if you see those, that's what they mean. John, were you going to say something? Sorry.
No. I was just going to say, like, all of those, not certain ones, but Andy said it, so never mind. It's fantastic. And also, once Dropbox does a sync thing, our pronouns will show up on the nameplates.
awesome.
But that might take a second because upload speeds.
Cool. Awesome. And then, so yeah, I guess I'll move into talking about my game.
Awesome. Yes, please.
All right. I just want to make sure we covered everything that needed to be covered. Okay. So Sync, like I said, this is a brief description. I'm not going to talk for too long, but it is a nonviolent activist, feels-focused cyberpunk game. So basically, it's my love letter to like William Gibson novels, Hackers the movie, Halt and Catch Fire and Mr. Robot, the TV shows, and Grimes the musician, whom I love. I love all this media, and a lot of it is cyberpunk. It's basically, the setting is 10 seconds in the future. So, basically to quote William Gibson, the future is here, it's just not evenly distributed yet. There's a lot of high-tech stuff in the world, just like there is now, but it's a little fast forwarded. So to give you an idea, because people, I think, have trouble picturing what that looks like, I can read a short description. So we developed some biotech, but not very much. Printing organs that people can use, replacing minor body parts, but not whole bodies. Embedded Wi-Fi and enhancements inside of a person's body, but nothing too wild yet. Robots are a little smarter and more pervasive. AI is becoming a tool we all use, which is already true. Just imagine it a little bit more. The internet is bigger and scarier and stranger. And old tech is still in heavy use, depending on your accessibility. So there's maybe a few ultra high tech things, but they all belong to companies and they're mostly out of reach. So the aesthetic of the game is meant to be near future so that tech can be a metaphor. The tools we create are reflections of who we are. Technology is a way that we connect, and it's how we create and grow relationships. It's kind of a summary of the game, its setting, and the technology. I hope you're all down for that.
Yep.
Cool. So also the mechanics, I should say, they are powered by the apocalypse. And this game in particular was inspired by Monster Hearts and Night Witches, which are two of my favorite Powered by the Apocalypse games. So Monster Hearts focuses on, feelings and teenagers and queerness. And Night Witches focuses on like heavy oppression. So both of those mechanics will kind of feature and inspired the mechanics in this game. So cool. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm very excited. That's where I'm at. Very, very keen.
I'm very excited too. So just so everyone knows our procedure for this session, this is like the first session procedure, but I don't know how long it will take online, but we will make characters together. We'll make the city and the neighborhood. We'll make our factions, and then we'll create our villains. So all this we do together before we begin play of the game. So that's what we're going to focus on today. So yeah. So I have a question for all of you.
Yeah.
So, when I say cyberpunk, what's the first thing that you think of? like any kind of thing. It could be
I
just media or feeling, something you've seen or read, anything like that.
think of alternative reality that covers up the sort of terribleness of current reality, but has its own kind of terrors in it.
Cool.
And I think of Blade Runner as an aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah, Blade Runner is one of the two pieces of media that supposedly started the cyberpunk genre, right? So Blade Runner and William Gibson's book Neuromancer both came out at the same time, if you would like your second history.
Wow.
So yeah, a lot of the imagery and the feelings that we have in Blade Runner are I guess pretty influential to this game, minus the noir. There is no really noir feel to this. So don't look out for femme fatales or investigators. That is not in sync.
Right.
So Andy, Karen, what's your next?
You want to go, Karen? Or I could spew several things I get real excited about. So I do that. Oh, great. So shockingly, I think about Gibson immediately.
Yeah.
And I am really deeply fond of Gibson's more contemporary books. So The Peripheral and then the Blue Ant trilogy are the things that I personally embody and like take into my brain and get real excited about over and over again, rather than like Neuromancer, which is also amazing. So
yeah, Neuromancer is a little like I feel like Neuromancer is my teenage goth
yes
book. Like the aesthetic is real like fast and furious, and not actually fast furious, but it is similar.
It's a different genre, right?
Is it slightly
quite?
Well, I think Fast Furious is pretty cyberpunk actually, but that's another discussion.
We can explore that.
Yeah, the newer books for sure inspired this game. I love pattern recognition. There is a movie called Pattern Recognition. So a lot of the game itself is inspired by kind of the newer Gibson novels that are closer to present time cyberpunk.
I think pattern recognition is my favorite Gibson. And I love that the last time we played Sync, John made a character that was basically the protagonist in pattern recognition, and he'd never read the book.
Yeah.
And had just like gone through, and we were like, that's amazing that like the system can create this character that is like so on genre, and the player doesn't have to have this background information, because we were like, oh my God, this is so pattern recognition. He was like, what? Who?
Yeah, absolutely. That is 100% my intent. But you can like, if you've never been a part of these genres or don't know anything about them, that's fine. It will still emulate them during play. Cool.
So lovely.
And thank you, chat, as well. There have been some cool contributions there for their ideas of Cyberpunk 2.
Oh, I can't see it because my computer is very slow. What did they say?
Well, so some of them reference were Ghost in the Shell and The Peripheral, and the Jim Plays has a real nice comment on resistance against powers as sort of the necessary punk element, which I think is definitely something that will resonate with us as well. So
absolutely, yeah. More putting the punk back in cyberpunk, basically. Also, Ghost in the Shell is another great touchstone for this. I love Ghost in the Shell. I'm right now trying to like cosplay Major Kusanagi in real life with my hair.
So good.
Almost there. And so, but less of like, Major Kusanagi in Ghost in the Shell is a policewoman, right? And she is still fighting oppression within a police state, because they're fighting corrupt, other levels of the police state. But there is a lot more militaristic and violent guns and stuff in Ghost in the Shell than is in Sync. So that's the main difference between those two. Awesome question, or awesome answers, everybody. Yes.
What about you, Karen?
I mean, I think my knee-jerk reaction is very Blade Runner in like high-tech noir. So, towering neon signs on a rainy day, and this general like ennui and malaise. That's not necessarily the game that I want to play, but that's like my knee-jerk reaction of like what I think of. But I also like the kind of like the Cowboy Bebop style, maybe, of just like a little bit more fun and jazzy. But there's definitely not everybody is like super active and excited and optimistic about fighting the man and winning. And so I kind of feel that sometimes when I think about cyberpunk is that there's also this general, sometimes it can feel very hopeless.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would still say that Sync is still a little bit of a dystopia, but only in so much as like contemporary American capitalist society is a dystopia.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're living in the cyberpunk future, right? You know, we have personal devices that we carry around with us everywhere, and
magic.
Do you envision play, or do you desire play to be sort of more on the power fantasy end of the needle, of like us having the opportunity to fight that, or more on the experience side of the needle, like us having the opportunity to experience what that means? Or do you kind of like to go back and forth on those spaces?
That's an awesome question. I would say both. This game, you do kind of experience the mechanics of oppression. So in that sense, it is a little heavy. It's a little sad because, you know, you're experiencing that, but we all experience that in real life. So I guess, but you know, on the power fantasy side, you are literally, you know, trying to take down oppressive factions in the game. So that's the power fantasy.
Rad.
And it kind of goes back to Mr. Robot, you know, where he's trying to take down E-Corp. He has a bone to pick with E-Corp, and that's just, you know, they need to come down. Or Hackers is kind of the same way, you know, there's this one corporation that's trying to screw them over, and they're going to get them back. So that is the essential conceit of play. So yeah, you'll be doing that a little.
I love it. And you mentioned Hackers a couple times, and I can't believe I didn't say it, but yes, also so much love for Hackers, and also so much love for the way it like has no problems dating itself. Like, you have 32 megs of RAM. Like, I'd love that it just is.
You could let him into the secret club. He's elite.
Yeah, like it's so beautiful in the way that it just like completely cements itself in this one time. And I think so many movies that talk about technology try to intentionally be vague so that they don't date themselves. And I just love the Hackers is like uber specific in ways that are nostalgic.
This is exactly the level of the tricks that, you know, in the 90s, you can hack a telephone, a payphone with a recorder. And like that puts you like way up there.
Yeah. That is 100% what I think of every time I think of the technology in Hackers, is when they hack.
Is playing the tone into the
yeah. Well, and it's
then making your long distance calls. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, because they used to cost money in that sense.
Yeah.
Now they just cost different kinds of money. But, yeah. I mean, the Matrix is like that too. Like in the beginning, like you see Keanu Reeves like holding the flip phone or whatever it is, the slide phone that just
yeah.
you're like, oh my God, this is the 90s.
I always love the Foley art in movies of phones, the sliding phone or the flip phone clicking back. They always do this like amazingly like satisfying little clicky Foley art sound. I like it.
So
they don't make it in real life.
So it seems as though we're all really excited about these really cool specific artifacts of these genres. So if I would just throw out there that if we find ourselves opportunity to be real specific about something that we're excited about, I am all for that. I love the idea of us finding the thing or things in our game that like are iconic to the setting and then just repeating them over and over again. Because I could flip that phone open and closed 1,000 times. I flip it open and I flip it closed. Like, or whatever our thing is. So.
I love it. It's part of my workshops, actually, is how to describe things in senses. So we'll get to that. So flipping phones could be, I love that. I'm going to make a note of that. Also, this is a play test. That's one thing I forgot to say. So we're play testing live. If instead of interrupting what we're doing, if you notice something that is like, oh, that's wrong, or this doesn't make sense, or I have a better idea for that, or whatever, you know, this isn't accessible, just take a note of it. And at the end, we'll go over those real briefly in a debrief so that you can tell me all the things that you noticed that either need improvement or that you loved or you really didn't like or didn't work for some reason for you.
Great is Is that the sort of thing where you're going to be inclined to front load us with some inquiries, or are you asking us to be mindful and watchful and report back in a more broad fashion?
I don't think. Well, let me front load with one, and then the rest is up to you.
Great.
I rewrote some of this intro stuff. Let me know just in the session today if you notice if it's a little clunky or any improvements and ideas that you might have as far as like how it's functioning as an intro, basically.
Great.
Yeah. And then anything else is welcome. That's pretty much the big thing I'm looking for today, though. Great question. Thank you, Andy.
Yeah, specificity helps me back you up, right?
Absolutely. Asking for specific critique is important in playtesting.
Yeah. Do we all have some ability to type or write notes as we go for that thing? Because maybe if not, we could take a short break to make sure that happens. Because I'm happy to make sure everybody has a notepad or something like that, or something.
I might grab one during the break, just because I've got my one little laptop screen and I already have to way too many windows open.
Sure.
So I'm so spoiled and used to having two monitors, and so when I have the one laptop, I'm like, too many things on top of each other, too many windows.
This is the cyberpunk future that you live in. You're confined by your laptop screen.
Oh god, my laptop is so old, you guys. It's like 5 times the size of a regular laptop now. Yeah. It's like this tall.
It's a tank.
Normal ones are like,
I feel you.
It's a dying, slow, very ineffective tank.
It's not even a cool modern tank of a laptop with like the big tube to the internet.
No.
The big tube to the internet. So the cool thing, I want to rewind for a second because we were talking about key technology styles that were in 90s cyberpunk movies. And that's the thing about cyberpunk is that it is social science fiction. When you are writing or experiencing a cyberpunk thing, it is very rooted in the time that it was created in. So if we make everything basically a good rule of thumb, think of technology now and then maybe what would the next stage of it be? What's the next stage of an iPhone or the next stage of Alexa or the next stage of organ printing? That's kind of like what we want to talk about because we want to talk about things that are socially relevant to right now so that we can make cool social commentary about it basically.
It's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Barbara Streisand's cloned dog. That's a real thing. I just realized about
the thing. That's
weird. Yeah, Barbara Streisand cloned her dog.
Multiple times, I thought.
Well, yes, multiple times. She has several copies of her dog.
She just wants the identical dog. I would totally have a second Emmett. You can't beat how cute this dog is.
The dog's really cute.
That would be weird. I don't know how to feel about the cloning.
Yeah, right. I don't know how to feel about it either. I brought it up because it was something that was on my mind along those lines.
I mean, all it is that they look the same. They're,
who knows?
It's like genetic hacking. Like if you want to remove diseases and stuff, like what's the difference? I don't know.
Yeah, you could. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Dogs have are prone to so many things.
Well,
or you could just get a nice shelter dog instead.
Hey Andy,
save a life.
Yes.
I'm just gonna do an okay check-in as we're talking about this.
Oh, is Andy making it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, just check in.
I am deep. Thank you for checking. I am deeply confounded about all of the implications around dog cloning.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we don't have to keep discussing dog cloning then.
It's okay. It's okay for me to be confounded. Thank you for checking.
That's fine. We're done. We're moving on to character creation.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Cool. So I feel like we all have a sense for the genre we're entering into now. Before we get into character creation, I will say that the setting we're going to be in is future Miami.
Cool.
So that may or may not have an influence on your character creation. This is a test. I don't know if it will. But let me quickly describe to you all of the characters that you could play. Sean, is this on the?
Why don't I pull up the PDF?
The characters.
Let's see if it'll do the thing. There we go. Okay, Cyberbabe is in effect.
None of this. I'm borrowing all of this art, so it are attributions. This is not paid for. This is beautiful internet art, in illustrations. So I just want to highlight one more thing about the characters before you pick them. All the characters in this game, I said it was non-violent. So what I mean by that is that all the characters have the ability to do physical harm competently, but most of them are like regular people when it comes to fighting, so they're not good at it. So basically, imagine yourself getting into a fight on the street. That's how good your character is at fighting. So there aren't really many. There's like 3 characters that have a move that is kind of fighty, but the rest of them do not.
And they don't really have a good there's normally some fallout involved from being violent as well, is what I've noticed, at least with the driver's moves. Is if they're violent, it's not great. It doesn't it doesn't impress people. It doesn't make you look cooler.
Right. Are we allowed to curse on this?
Oh yeah, swear the fuck away.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so basically the move is that's a great observation, Karen, and true. The move is called fuck someone up. So you basically know how to hurt someone physically, and then you can probably do them harm, but there's consequences for doing that. You could also gain harm. It doesn't necessarily do anything good for you or advance your ability to kind of interact with that person.
Yeah,
oddly enough.
What do you know? Yeah, strange enough. Just when you do violence, you look like a violent person.
Yeah, who knew?
Right. And I really interested over how violence worked in this game because it's an activist game. So essentially, the cops or, corporate police or private security can still hurt you, but you just can't hurt them very well. Physically.
Well, and that's accurate because even if you had the physical capability to, the moment you attack an officer, like the repercussions are so brutal and so horrible that like it's not meant to be fair, right? Like in our world it isn't fair. Like if an officer decides to assault somebody, their chances of responding back with violence are
absolutely,
real bad.
Especially if you're a member of a marginalized community, which you will all be playing. So it's cool, no worries. So so here's the characters. I'm sorry, Andy, were you?
All is well. Please continue.
Okay. Sorry, I feel a little lagged, so please. If I interrupt you, just I don't know, say something.
Great,
it's all good.
Yeah. So the first character is the Cyber Babe. They are a super cool social media manipulator with fancy cyborg body parts. So this is one of the more kitted out or modded characters. There is the Anorak, who is a nerd who is obsessed with some kind of niche weirdness and specializes in having internet friends. So, they're really into fan fiction or like the CW or something super weird or designer jeans, whatever it is. There's the Analyst. You are able to analyze disparate points of data and people in order to get stuff. And also you can get things from working a lot of gigs. You're kind of like a freelancer. There's the Designer. The Designer makes stuff. They have rad design skills and analysis skills and a party pad. So you're kind of like a cool artist, with cool artist community.
With the resources, apparently. Is that what like? How weird.
Kind of. It depends. It depends on the moves you choose. Actually.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of artists that like have a cool space. It isn't necessarily a nice space or like a safe,
right.
Like the Ghost Ship fire of last year. Good evidence of real great space, not safe at all. And
absolutely. A lot of artist communes, are in old warehouses in bad parts of town. So, it depends.
Great. Thank you for broadening the context.
Yeah, no problem. You could also play the Idol, who is a famous performer who can manipulate media mostly. They also kind of want people to see their authentic side instead of just their famous identity. There's the Gearhead, who is the other big maker. They make machines, and they often love the machines more than humans or just like humans. There's the Punk, who they're like a drug cyborg, kind of like they boost their self with future drugs and street smarts. So if you recently saw Altered Carbon, which was terrible, don't watch it.
Okay.
You know, he does like the injections, and they boost different things, and that's kind of what the street drugs do. And then there's the driver, who is basically Ryan Gosling in Drive.
You have another touchstone. Could you consider Baby Driver a similar character in terms of their mystery?
Yes. I didn't like Baby Driver as much as Drive, though.
I mean, it's a very different movie. I was just thinking of other Driver characters.
100%. It could be Ryan Gosling. It could be Baby Driver. It could be Vin Diesel. Oh God. Sean's been watching all the Fast and the Furious.
I'm finally like, having never seen any of them, I'm now binging them. So
I love them so much.
I'm up to Fast 5. We'll keep going.
Yeah, they're one of my favorite things in the world. Okay, so there's the driver. So they basically, their technology is their car, and they have an intense personality. And there is the insider, who works both for the corporations and the activist group that you're a part of, but is also like trapped by them. So, they've made deals with corps to get stuff. Imagine the Johnny Mnemonic character is a very good touch, if you know what that is. So those are the character choices. What are you all thinking of playing?
I'm kind of already filling in the driver stats. I'm awesome. Jumping ahead with my excitement, and I realized, oh right, we're supposed to do this all together.
Okay.
I'm so glad you're excited
right now. Driver is best. So yeah, Karen, I think you have another vote for that.
Cool.
No one has any.
Yeah. I normally, my go-to for characters, and this is the same as like my go-to for improv characters, I normally play like highly strung straight man characters, or overly shy but weird characters. And so I like the idea of playing just like a super cool, very quiet and like steamy character.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
Because I don't, those aren't what I'm playing right now in campaign, so it's never my go-to improv character.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Yeah, it's great. That's you then. Okay, so Karen's the driver. So who else has thoughts?
Andy, do you have thoughts?
You first. Go for it.
Okay. I had before the game been leaning towards insider or punk, but now I'm leaning towards insider or designer. Punk is very cool, but I don't know that I'm ready to be that level. And so I want to run down like the things that are interesting to me and see like how well they actually resonate with the playbook and what you think. So the thing that appeals to me of the insider is the central conflict of trying to balance two different lives, and that sounds like it's a real challenging element. I'm less excited about I have special access as I have shitty responsibilities that I need to take care of. And if the special access also comes with it, cool, but that's right. And for the designer, I love the idea of having that shared space, that sort of social thing. Like, I'm not sure yet what I would want to design, but there's lots of rad things that people can make. I have a friend with a 3D printer who's just making shit all the time right now, and I can imagine just like being able to make even cooler stuff like that's just laying around the place because there's a zillion prototypes and no products. So that's kind of, I'm just wondering if either one of those sound more or less like they resonate with your intent for the playbook.
Oh, those are exactly the playbooks. Yeah, you nailed them. One of the designer choices is you can be an industrial designer, so, or a furniture designer. So that works, with your concept of 3D printing. The insider is a lot like the Infernal from Monster Hearts.
Mm-hmm.
Like basically the corporation is the demon that's constantly whispering to you to get you to do things in exchange for power, in exchange for
Yeah, it's super appealing. I feel like it's a role I've played a bunch of times, so I think I'm gonna go with designer because it's not one I've done as much.
That's very much your current Shadowrun character, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. I'm
Yeah.
currently playing a character who's both sides and in Shadowrun. So yeah, let's
Be-
not.
be- because we can't ever play a campaign where our characters are doing the thing that they're supposed to be doing. We're in Shadowrun playing cops.
Oh my God.
It's real weird. It's real.
How do
real
you?
strange
I mean, I guess it's like
because-
the Will Smith thing that came out.
We work for Knight Errant.
Yeah.
Oh wait,
Yeah.
what did you say, Karen?
We're working for Knight Errant, so we're working for like the privately commissioned police force,
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
solving crimes.
And we get to talk about police violence and all that stuff from a different from that perspective, which is
It's a hard perspective.
it's a hard thing to tackle. But that's a different game. This
It's a
game,
different game. Anyways, sorry. I go on
Yeah.
too many tangents. I'm having a lot of coffee.
These are good tangents. I'm into it. This is wonderful.
They're relevant, right?
Yeah.
Same. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Sean, you're going to go with the designer.
I'm gonna go with designer. Yeah.
Cool.
If that, Andy, I think that was one that you were thinking about as well, though. So I don't.
We're
want
in
to
good shape. Go for it. I love it.
Cool.
So, absolutely.
So, Andy, what were you thinking of?
So I'm at the point where I'm like, do I play the Anorak or the Analyst?
Ooh, well, the analyst is basically Casey Pollard.
And then I'm just like, maybe that's just where I need to go and be. I'm really interested in the idea of someone who overreaches a lot.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
In what way? How do you mean? I don't know that I have as many of the touchstones for the analyst as you all do. So maybe share your concept of it, so I'm better connected to it.
So the Analyst is somebody who, so they are surviving via utilizing the gig economy. And they move through, they know how to read people and they know how to read. When we think about data in a really holistic way, which is everything that a person wears, how they talk, how they move, the way they treat someone else when they interact with them. Those are all points of data in addition to like spreadsheets.
Mm-hmm.
And so the analyst is in a position of really being systems wise.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way that's very like innate to their being versus it being like they got trained up, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Is a lot of the context I get from the analyst. And I'm really excited about the idea of pointing the analyst. Initially, when I had been thinking about it and hesitating, I was thinking about the analyst as someone who was like facing inward, and I don't want to do that. But when I start thinking about the analyst as someone who's pointed at other people, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, because you're going to be reading people a lot.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then
Wow.
overreaching, reading people and being wrong about them sounds really great.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
a move that
How
happens.
Sherlock Holmesy do you view that kind of like? Is it that like I see that you have your your cuffs are dirty, so that you must work with your hands a lot? Like is that the kind of level to which you envision the reading?
That
you asking me?
Oh, I was asking Andy. 'Cause-
Mm-hmm.
I would not have imagined Sherlock Holmes, but yes, absolutely.
Okay, cool.
That is a very correct, like, there are things here and there's information. Like there's also information about like what kind of fabric are you wearing? What's the cut? I know who made that.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Because
That-
that's a place where I experience a lot of overreaching and like, oh, you're a complete jerk about the assumptions you make about somebody because you know these few data points. Sorry.
Yes.
I was going to say the joy of making those types of deductions in a game where you as a player don't have the time or the savvy to make those types of ridiculous deductions is that you can just say something and then backfill it with whatever justification you feel like, and it's right.
Yeah. So I'm playing the analyst.
I guess so. I guess that's
based on how we're still talking about this, and I'm
Yeah.
increasingly excited about it.
Yeah.
So
Okay, good.
Awesome.
Yay.
Yeah, I mean, just based on your descriptions, the Sherlock Holmes move is decipher. When you want to read a person, like the images, charts, patterns, and numbers you love, roll tech.
yeah.
Mhm.
Determine their racial demographic, their style and social group, the violent training, if they've had violent training, their tech specialty, and the neighborhood they live in. So like basically look at them and you're like analyzing them. So
Yeah.
there's that. And they also have a move that I want to try that I'm nervous about.
Mhm.
So that's cool. It's called code switching. And so I mean that in the language way, not in the race way. And so that's basically you're able to understand different cultures' lingo and speak it so that they think you're a part of that culture's
Oh.
so that one would be cool. I'd like to hear feedback on that one.
Great.
Cool.
Okay, so we have 3 characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Cool. So are you filling them out right now? Is that what's happening?
I was talking and having feelings, but that can be next.
Yeah.
Fill them out. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't started filling them out. Let me pull up the screen with Roll20 on it.
I do have a question about filling them out. Is when the moves say choose 3, but one's already filled in, we're choosing 3 on top of that to a total of 4, or we're choosing 2 for a total of 3?
I am unsure, to be honest.
Okay.
Because
I guess it depends on, if it's a one shot, how like souped up you want the characters to be.
Yeah. So we're gonna play this probably for maybe 4 or 5 games.
So maybe start lower.
So maybe start with 2, I guess.
So
Great.
we pick 2 for a total of 3, or we okay.
So one is already colored in for you. That
Got
is like your signature move, and then pick 2 on top of that one.
Great, thank you. Yeah, I think that's smart because it seems like there isn't an equal distribution of moves, but it's around between 6 and 7.
Yeah.
Or 6 to 8 even per person.
Yeah. Some have more. That's something I'm gonna equalize moves.
That's something to workshop later, is come up with extra ones or pare some down.
Yeah, totally. But for right now, I think that's a fine solution. And then you can actually see in the mechanics, how experience works, and you can choose some new moves, and it'll be fun.
Hey, Kara, for our viewers at home, would you rather folks see the playbooks and that we're picking stuff from, and I'll just have like one playbook up at a time, or one of our characters as we're like selecting the things, like the Roll20 sheet that's kind of blank right now?
I don't know. Maybe one of the characters that someone's filling out. No pressure.
Yeah, sounds good. Well, Karen, I feel like you're like really like know what you're doing. Can I pull up your sheet?
Sure. Cool. Yeah, because I already started a little bit. So.
Awesome. There we go.
As you're going through, let me know if you have any questions. A lot of people tend to want to know what the stats are for. I don't actually care when I'm making a character what the stats are for in these games, but I can tell you that if you're curious, or if something else is on there that's weird.
I would love to hear very briefly. I can intuit, which I'm okay with being wrong about rad, savvy, tough, and tech. But in general, as I start to think about these things, I would be interested to hear the does not need to be the exhaustive OED definition. But
what's OED?
Oh, Oxford English Dictionary.
Hey.
So the big ginormous one that tells you everything, which I love, but we don't need that.
One of my dream jobs would be working for the OED or for Webster's and just have power over words.
Yes. I vote you in.
I wish.
We make you honorary.
I'd have to go back to school for more lexicography.
Oh boy.
Sure, why not?
I believe in you.
I'll just change. I can totally change my career every 6 years.
I feel like that's pretty standard now.
It really is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just a lot of folks don't go to school to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like you just keep all to say yes, OED, and if it's just a matter of voting you in, Karen, you have my vote.
Yes, mine too. I mean, get your word nerd on. Let me describe these things to you. I read this thing, sorry, one more sidetrack about careers in a lifetime. And it was like, it's estimated that millennials will have up to 30 different careers in one lifetime.
Yep.
Yeah, careers, not jobs, like careers.
Yeah.
Wow. Things are changing. Okay, let me describe these stats to you and get away from the sadness. So rad is kind of like your social cool stat. How cool are you, and can you interact with people in a way that they understand? Savvy is kind of like your intelligence, observant, stat. Like, are you understanding things correctly? Basically with savvy. Tough is how tough you are emotionally, physically, mentally, like how your resilience. Also, there's a few moves I think that use it kind of as a metaphor, like your, I don't know, toughness. Like,
Resilience.
yeah, your resilience, or how hard are you? Or,
Got it.
Yeah, and then there is also tech, which tech is kind of anything. It is also used as a metaphor sometimes, but is hardware, software, and sometimes like emotional tech. If that makes sense. So like kind of understanding things in a technical sense. So those are the basic stats. The numbers that you're putting into them are not super different. So they do, while they do influence your ability in them, they're not going to influence it radically. I think that's how these numbers work. I'm not a super mathematician.
We can find out.
You've got a pretty good framework to build off of. Like you know, you've played enough Powered by the Apocalypse games that like, you know, the curves pretty well. The numbers all look smart to me.
Absolutely. Thank you for your validation. So those are the stats. And then on your backstories, actually on the character sheets, you're using the things in parentheses don't matter, and how the system affected you will come up later. So we will not worry about that when describing our characters, but I'll remind you of that. It's just a holdover from a previous playtest that I had forgotten to remove.
Cool.
Excellent.
Yeah. How is it going?
Good.
It's going great. I'm really drawn to furniture design.
That's awesome.
And I really think it's like in the real world, I think it's super important, and like the way we sit and the way we relax and whatnot. I know it's probably the way we work and be efficient as well. Like it's super important. It doesn't strike me as the kind of thing that often comes into a game. So I'm going to take a chance at like I feel like, you know, video game design or like more like tech-based design would be more like front and center of a game set in a cyberpunk world. But I feel like it is significant, and I have like enough of a tiny bit of background in like furniture and upholstery and design, like to feel like I know a smidge. So I think.
That's super cool. I know a lot about furniture design too, because I went to art school.
Cool. You probably know more than I do. I don't
know. You might know more than I do. It's also relevant to Miami. There are a lot of furniture designers in Miami.
Oh, cool.
And it's relevant to urban design. I don't know if you saw those videos recently that are going around about benches that are designed to deter homeless people sleeping on them.
Yep.
Oh God, yeah. That's such a sneaky thing, because some are a lot more obvious than others.
Right. Some just have little things that are annoying, whereas others,
yeah.
You know, I don't even want to say I have mixed feelings about it, because I haven't like really broken down how I feel about those, but I definitely feel a little squicky sometimes when I see benches that are designed to be impossible to sleep on.
Absolutely. They're bad. I believe they're bad, because we don't have a solution to our homeless populations, and they need somewhere to sleep. So.
You should see what Oakland's like these days. Our camps, I feel like I've never seen the amount of tents here than I've ever seen before. There's just more and more camps popping up.
Yeah, I think that you've just given me the thing that I want to do, Karen, which is design things to make use of bad designs. So like design like the board that lays over all those weird bumps so that they aren't, like, to nullify them or something, like
solar panels that you can put on your
shoulder pads,
you know, on your outdoor shelter. We have to pass a tent camp on the way to work. We do pass a tent camp on the way to work every day, and
I have one right down the street from my house here in Columbus, Ohio, like just under the highway thing. And like, in the winter it must be so hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing. I mean, California, I think that's why we have the homeless population that we do in the Bay Area, is because the weather is very temperate and the climate is never too bad compared to other places, though it does get very cold and wet and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Summers
some days are
about
wet.
situations.
Mhm.
Cool. So Sean is a furniture designer.
Yep.
Furniture hacker.
I love the idea of you hacking public spaces to be more accessible.
Yeah.
I like it too. Like I wasn't exactly sure where to go, but I think that's a great, like very specific subset niche.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a thing in William Gibson books too. Like there's a lot of talk about all the things around you, like the physical objects, right? And how old they are and the design of them and how that influences the culture. So I think it's great. So very cool. So and then Andy, you're still working. Does anyone else have any questions or I'm just saying random stuff? How's your driver going, Karen? Are you
good? I need a third move. Thinking, I'm kind of putting in things as I'm thinking about it. There's been a request from chat. I need to specify how it is ethically fueled, and immediately my mind went to the Mr. Fusion from Back to the Future. But maybe that's not. I mean, it could be compost fueled, but maybe that's not what the driver would do. I feel like they might not be like. Might be too cool for compost.
Miami is right on the coast too, and it is
Yeah.
partially flooded in our near future setting. So you could be water fueled somehow.
Yeah, I'll have to think about that. I'll come back to it and see if it comes up in the fiction.
Yeah.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also like worth I think whenever we talk about like fighting oppressive forces, it's also worth noting that like there's no way in which we can completely escape being complicit in them. Like there's not any way in which we're going to play the characters that are absolutely divorced from all of these societal norms ourselves. Like we kind of, to live in this world, we have to be complicit in some of these things too. So like if you had a car that used fossil fuels, like it doesn't make you the worst person ever, right? That makes you a person who has a car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Here in this world.
Right, in this world. So not that you have to, but just
capitalist sadness.
Yeah.
We have to be a part of it to survive.
Yeah, and how do you do that? It thus far, by and large, requires participating.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. That's why I made it an option, because you know, if you don't choose ethically fueled, you might feel a little bad about it.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I was like, oh, I feel like I kind of have to pick that one. Otherwise, I'm a monster.
Like,
so I definitely like that you made that a moral choice that the player has to make.
Yes, thank you.
It's super good, because I think about that with our cars a lot. Is we have 2 aging cars that we're going to drive until they fall apart. And then the question is, what type of single car are we going to be able to afford when it's time to get a new one? Well, I don't know if we're going to be able to make like a good choice with that.
Yeah.
It
isn't cheap.
I mean, there's like Teslas and
God, yeah.
Leafs, and what's the other? Like, I think the electric cars are pretty good, but they're kind of pricey.
I was listening to something on NPR the other day. Something about how just with the way our economy and our business is going, is electric cars and are generally going to have diminishing returns on how efficient and cheap they are.
Oh wow.
And if they continue to be supported. So, we're not selling enough. Like, people aren't buying as many as they should be right now for it to like super pay off. So
I see what you mean. Yeah. Well, not everyone is vegan yet either. So
true.
We're getting there.
Yeah.
Not to push my personal agenda.
That's fine.
We're playing your game. I think that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I was just say
not, and I don't mean that I don't mean to suggest in the least that that's a problem.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, I think we just try to make the best choices we can and learn as we go along what better choices there are, and better choices are revealed all the time. So it's kind of like privilege.
I think there is definitely something to be said, and it comes to the oppressiveness, is that making those ethical choices is often the more expensive choice.
Yeah, right now it's the whole like the future is here, but it's not accessible yet.
Yeah.
We
And
could have the
that's a
energy.
huge issue for a lot of people in terms of also eating a certain way. I find that like the paleo diet sounds really cool, but I don't have the money to go to a lot of the extent of what you're purchasing
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is part of that lifestyle as well.
That is true for paleo, but not true for vegan. It's actually cheaper
Yeah.
to eat vegan.
Hmm.
Pretty cool.
Oh, well, there we
Yeah.
go.
You just have to have the time. You have to manage cooking time, which some people
Right.
don't have, right?
Yeah.
You're working 2 jobs and you have to catch the bus, and you have 3 kids, whatever it is.
You live in a food desert.
Yeah, you could live in a food desert. They're doing a cool thing in a food desert here in Columbus is that they have a regular bus every weekend that goes to farmers markets, so they can
Awesome.
buy
Neat.
accessible, cheap local food, and the bus is free. So
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
yeah, I love stuff like that. It makes me really happy. It's not perfect, but it's something. Like I can't tell the developers, to make a grocery store, but I can support a bus to help people
Get people to
To
something.
get people there.
yeah.
Very cool.
Cute.
Oh,
All
Are
right. So
we-
what is left on my driver? I've got my moves.
yeah.
Build him a 6 move. Oh, I need my look in the things. I need my actual character thing. Okay.
The look in the thing.
How are other people doing?
I've chosen the move handmade because it felt perfect. I was like, I just want that move because of what it's called. When I copied out of the PDF into Roll20, it like took all the spaces up between the words, which I thought was kind of a neat cyberpunk feel to it, but it's also a little
Yeah,
tricky. So I'm going through and putting the spaces in between. And I think
I'm doing that too. Yeah.
I will
Oh, yeah.
probably either take pad or party people, and then I will be set on
Yeah.
moves. I'm excited about both of those.
Yeah. You didn't pick that means you're not picking the shady move. Where you can like
It's the
throw, critique is kind of like throwing shade.
oh yeah, no, I will. I I saw critique, and I was like,
Maybe next time.
I mean, it in one way it makes a lot of sense if I think about it directed towards. Let me read this movie because I'm.
Oh, You're fine. Don't let me. Please choose what you want to choose.
Well, the thing about it that makes sense is the idea of like finding the ways in which to improve if my designs are essentially anti-designs, or that's a specialty, then there's me. But this is really about like shutting a person down about their stuff.
Mhm.
It's not about
It's
finding the actual
not
flaw.
about your designs at all. It's about judging somebody else.
Yeah. That's not my jam just yet.
Designers and artists tend to be judgmental. This is not a personal thing for me at all.
You don't have personal experience in the design space. You haven't been
Yeah, I
designing
don't
for years and years and
personally,
years.
as a designer, judge people at all either. That's not a weakness I have.
Being human is hard.
It is. I've gotten better at it though.
Practice, right?
Yeah. I was gonna say something else. Oh, so on these character sheets, when you're choosing your cybertech style, some of these are actual like technology or machines. But think of it more as like the type of machine you might have, and then kind of apply that to the rest of your character. I haven't figured out a good way to kind of describe that in a way that makes sense and is also kind of inspiring, like the type of tech you might have. Because I don't have like this isn't Cyberpunk 2020. I don't have like 100 books describing like each and every machine.
Thank you. And
Right.
never feel the need to. I mean, Cyberpunk 2020 is great, but like,
Yeah.
you really don't need more gun porn, right? Like of like 1,000
Yeah.
different, and yeah.
I love
Right.
Cyberpunk 2020. I mean, it was one of my first games that I played. I played it with like Mike Pondsmith at Origins like a billion years ago, and Evan Torner, and like we were in like that was fun to play with the designer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was a black guy until I played with him at Origins, which changed my perspective on the games a little.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I loved all the tech porn, to be honest. Like I remember there was like this machine in there that was like you could switch which genitals you had. It was like the something Mr. or Mrs. 2000. It was very gender binary, but I remember that one because it was tech.
That's a plot point in Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Yeah.
So they don't bring that into to Blade Runner, but
Of course not.
that is that's something that they not actually physically switching, but like switching the nerve sensations or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he had done that with his wife, and then she had left, and he hadn't switched back.
Yeah,
if I'm remembering that correctly. Anyways, sorry.
On that fun note, I think we're at the hour, so why don't we take a quick break and we'll be back in a few minutes. Does that work for folks?
Sounds great.
Awesome. All right, everybody, thanks for hanging out with us as we make our Rad Sync characters. We'll be back soon.